Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to everybody around the world. Welcome back to another One Piece video featuring your boy, King. Get ready for a very spicy deck profile featuring OP08 here on the channel, which I am very excited to bring to you, let alone we are going to be playing with the leader in which I feel like everybody likes to sleep on. People like to say this leader's not good, he's not great, we need to crack this deck, etc, etc. I'm here to tell you I feel like King is really strong. I do personally. I think it's a skill issue. I think it's literally just a pilot issue. And I feel like people just are using this leader ability the wrong way most of the time. But I also run into a lot of King players who are in that one mindset of he's a ramp deck, which he's not. Overall, we're going to dive into a bunch of games today. I'm going to show you guys two different lists, and we're going to have at it. And I have a bunch of locals content coming up for you with King as well, so stay tuned for that one. Those are going to be spicy. But without further ado, let's dive into this list here and see what we got cooking up. Again, I'm going to show you two different lists. Current list today is going to be running around with 14 2K counters, being 4 Kamazo. And I'm not going to hold you guys. This card is disgusting in this deck, let alone in purple Luffy. Any purple deck that has access to this guy is just really good. It allows you to deal with a bunch of decks in the format, be it that everywhere you go you're going to run into this leader, and it just, there's no way around it. And we're talking about Jewelry Bonney, for example, and all of her little searchers, being Bonney herself or Baby 5. They're all 1-drops, which you can just easily remove with Kamazo on board. Being a purple deck, we always minus Dawn at some point stage in the game. And this just helps us remove these pesky bodies without having to attack into them or attack into it and get rested by Bonney's leader. Now, Kamazo here in King has another use. We have a lot of minus cost reduction here, be it Ice Ages, Kuzan, and all that sort of thing, in which this card can get a lot of value out of. So he does make sense to be here. Now, when it comes to the other 2Ks, we are going to be using Suru. Not searchable, but again, it's a 1-drop that you can combo well into this deck with cards like Linlin here and Jack, allowing us to get more removal, along with Kaido as well. And then we are going to be taking 2 Sasakis and then 4 Huzu. Huzu is up in the air. I don't generally use his ability a lot. It does come off trigger sometimes into the matchups like where it matters, like Bonney and like Doflamingo and stuff when they're playing down their 3-drop blockers. Huzu is very valuable in that situation, but typically, unless your opponent plays something down on curve in which you absolutely have to kill, you're not really playing this from hand. So, but he does come up every now and then. In any case, these are going to be the 2Ks we are going to be using, which are going to be 14. A lot of variations of King I see typically will run up to 8 and 10, and I feel like that's way too little, and you have to be able to survive in this metagame as a 4-life leader, especially with a deck that wants to go for the long game. Because once the long game hits and you're in that late game and you have your big bodies on board like your Linlin, your Kuzans, and your Kaidos, you're a monster. And it's very hard to deal with you, especially when you have the removal, be it the Kuzan, the Kaidos, or the sustain with the Linlin. You're gonna be able to have to get to that point to survive. And running 8 2K counters, running 10 2K counters is not going to be enough typically, especially with a build like this. But overall, give this one a shot, especially with the counters. Add more counters to the variations of your King decks. Try it differently and see how it goes. Because I see a lot of builds that typically either, again, they run a lower cost or a lower count of 2Ks, or they're going in a completely different, I guess, mindset with this leader. And with that being said, they're often running cards that are ramping the deck. So we're talking like Basil Hawkins here. We're talking about Mr. 2-Bond Clay, Basil Hawkins. Like, these cards really aren't going to help you sustain yourself into the late game. Yes, they are going to ramp you up, but when you're playing up against decks like Kagero, you're playing up against decks like Blue Doflamingo, smacking this man on board at 4 Dawn, yeah, good luck. You know what I mean? Putting this on board against those decks, yeah, good luck. You know, because Doflamingo runs a bunch of cheap bodies on board. Often like Jimbei, Weevil, and all that sort of thing. Mr. 2 is really only going to hit for 5 plus 6, depending on how much Dawn you stack on him. He's not swinging for big numbers. He does get you that ramp up. but kind of irrelevant in some of these decks in the format. He's not as strong as he once was back when RP Law was a thing. He still does give you that ramp. Wonderful, awesome, but he's just going to get removed, clapped, becomes a pseudo blocker for you. Fantastic. So I try to look at King more so as a late game monster and try to get to that point with my 2k counters. And I'm only going to be running Onigashima Island for the ramp. If I hit it, I hit it. If I don't, I don't. It's not really going to be depicted off of this one card. But I will assure you, hitting islands in this variation, it's disgusting. And we have numerous ways of doing that with the 4-cost, or sorry, the 1-drop that allows you to search out for your Big Mom Pirates or your Animal Kingdom Pirates. So this can search you out island if need be. But in hindsight, you're really looking for Big Moms. You're really using this to find out your Linlins. Your Linlins is what makes you stay into the game, into the later stages, to set your board up right. Now, there will be those opportune moments where you don't have islands, and you have to drop a searcher to get the island. Alright, cool, whatever, it is what it is. But now you have islands, right? But 9 out of 10, if you already have island in your mulligan hand, your opening hand, you're searching out Linlins every single time for this card, just to make sure you're able to sustain yourself into the late game. This allows you to remove cards up into like the Moria matchup, into the Rabluchi matchup. You can put the Sabos in life, you can put the Gecko Morias in life. Now how do you do that? Sabo, obviously you just put it in life. Gecko Moria, you have to do a little bit more, which typically is something like a Suru or an Ice Age, and you can put it in life. It's not really a big deal. Mom just really helps you guys out, sustain yourselves in those matchups. And this also goes into matchups like Katakuri and Enel. Unfortunately, I don't think we have any Katakuri or Enel matchups today for you, but I do have some local Katakuri matchups that I do want to showcase. So you guys will see that here later on, probably tomorrow maybe, but give or take. In any case, the Queen, I want you guys to realize something. Yes, you guys don't see the 5-cost Queen in this variation, but you will see it in my other variation here, which will be my main variation for King. But the Queen here, a lot of builds run this, a lot of builds don't run this at all. I want to give you guys two different perspectives here on this card. I run 2. I don't want to see this more than I have to, first of all. It's 1k counter, that's the nice thing about it. But other than that, it's generally a dead card once I find the piece that I need. This will search me out island. Other than that, I'm not really looking forward to play this on board. It searches me out an island, and it searches me out a 2k counter in Husu and Sasaki. Everything else, I don't care about. If I can get a Kaido off of it, awesome. If not, I'm looking for island and 2Ks. Running this at 4 hurts you very, very much, because you got to keep in mind, a lot of variations of King will use Queen, the 5-cost Queen, which you should be using. Again, I'm going to show you my main variation that also uses it, because I don't want to hear people say, hey, why don't you have this card, etc., etc. You cannot search Queen off a Queen, which makes this card a lot more lackluster. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I'm only running 2 of these. I max out on 4 of this, just because this right here will strictly get you your Linlins into late game, and draw your Oni as well if you need to. But this, I'm at 2. I'm tempted to cut it out entirely, but I like it just to help me out with consistency in case I don't have the island in the early game. But in any case, a 1k counter, awesome. Now, we've also included in Rebecca and Sabo, and I see a lot of lists that don't run this, and I feel like you should. You're a black deck, definitely put it in your list and figure it out, because this is a very, very strong card, again, into the late game, into those matchups where it matters, and we're talking into black decks, Rabluchi, Gecko Moria, and Black Yellow Luffy. This really helps you out, just get bodies on board with the Sabo and drawing more cards. This allows you to draw into your late game pieces, be it your Kuzans, your Big Moms, your Jacks, your Kaidos, and allows you to cycle out dead cards in your hand, which will be Onigashima Islands by that point, or allow you to put more Sabos in trash to just recur the effect later with the Rebecca. And speaking of which, Rebecca, you might argue, why is this in the list so you only can grab 1 card? Well, you're forgetting that Rebecca also gets you back your Jack, she gets you back your Husu, and she gets you back your Sabo. She's very good here in King, and trust me when I tell you this, she puts in work. Especially when you're playing this list at locals and stuff, you will realize how much more sustainable that you are in a King deck when you can just constantly recycle your big body units or get your 2Ks back with the Rebecca. Because it only takes a couple big bodies on board and a decent hand, a couple 2Ks to go for games in most cases. Linlin will do a lot of the work for you. by removing bodies on board and just going 9k consistently in life. But overall, this is one of my favorite variations of King. And before we dive into the next list, let's go ahead and touch on the King combo here. I like this combination. These 3 and these 2 are flex spots for me. So you have 5 slots in this deck that you can take out, which will be both these Kings, and you can sub out for whatever you want. This is always going to be a flex spot, which is nice, because with the way the list is now, with my ratios and all that sort of thing, I feel comfortable with what you see here. These can be traded out for your queens, your 5-drop queens, more consistency here with another Ice Age or another 2k counter, other Rebeccas. These are just really placeholders. Now, they do well here. There are some moments where this 7-drop King comes in handy against matchups like Bonney, especially when I'm swinging in with like a 9k Lin, or like, you know, swinging in with Kaido and then she rests leader, or she rests the other one. I can slap down a King and then go for another 9k, which they aren't expecting, which is great. This does come up occasionally, but other than that, this card itself is really, really good. The downside to it is he doesn't have the counter. Now, when it comes to the 4-drop, the 4-drop's okay. I come at this with the same mindset as my pudding variations. If you guys have seen my puddings in local play or here on Sim, you guys know what I'm talking about. It's when you have a pudding, right? And you have the combination, I don't remember which one it is. This will work. When you have like the combination of like Katakuri going into the, you know, the 8-cost Katakuri, this is kind of how I look at it with King, with the small King into the big King. The downside, this is very easy to pull off. It's a lot harder to pull off in King due to the fact that this is only viable if you're at 10 Don. So, hypothetically speaking, you're running this combination and you don't see Island, you don't see any ramp whatsoever. This feels lackluster in the late game. You see what I mean? This relies on you being at 10 Don to activate the ability. Therefore, you have to be at 10 Don before you can trash this to play this from hand. This is why I said that these cards are going to be a placeholder. You can take them out and add other cards to the list if you want to. If you don't feel like you're ramping enough with King, if you don't feel like Onigashima Island is enough for your playstyle, of course you can take these out and add in more ramp if you want to. I'm not going to tell you that Bon Clay doesn't help you out, but I already gave my opinion on this. I feel like it's a dead card here. This is not going to be a rampy deck. King is not meant to be a rampy leader. It does work, but it feels really bad into the late game, especially when you're sitting here slotting your deck up with Basil Hawkins and then 4 Bon Clays. That's just 8 dead cards at the end of the day when you're already at 10 Don. So, but let's go into list number 2 here, which will be my main deck when it comes to King. We're going to do a bunch of games with this list here specifically, and we're going to do a bunch of games with my main King deck as well, and I'm going to show you guys some local gameplay later on. So, when it comes to my main variation of King, this is my main deck. This is what I've been coming up with as of late. This is what does well for me. I run 2 puddings and then 2 queens in placeholders of the other King combinations while going up 1 Ice Age. Now, the queen, again, can't be searched off of this, but this allows you to have some very, very good plays into the late game as well, similar to the Sabo, where you guys can draw into your big bodies. Queen does the same thing in that regard, but there are some very, very strong combinations here with Queen. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to showcase any of those in our games today, but if you have Kamazo on board, along with like something like Kuzan already, and this is not hard to do, if you have both of these characters on board, you slap down a Queen, you minus the Dawn, this will pop something on board for you that's a 7 cost or less. Because the Kuzan already minuses it by 5, you minus the Dawn with the Queen ability, this kills something that was a 7 cost entirely, which is really, really good. It's when a Dawn is returned to your Dawn deck, you can activate this ability. And you have to activate this ability no matter what. You don't get to choose it, it just, when it happens, it happens. So, there'll be certain situations where you don't want to activate your leader ability to pop something with this. You can play down Linlin, -1, and then pop something with a Kamazo. Or play down the Queen, -1, pop something with a Kamazo. It's really, really good in tandem with the Queen here. Now, of course, this is also a big body, draws you more cards, so you guys know how Queen works. The pudding is going to be hit or miss for a lot of people. I like it here. The downside to the deck is we don't have a lot of bodies that we play on 3 Dawn. We don't have a lot of bodies in this deck that we play on 5 Dawn outside of the Sabo and outside of the Queen. So, if you look, when we get up to 6 Dawn, we're not playing anything on board realistically unless it's a blocker. And most of the time we're not playing these blockers unless it's the late game. That way we can recur them out of the trash with the Sabo. Now, on that 6 Dawn turn, you might have Onigashima Islands. You might not have drawn into it until later. So now you have Oni 3 Dawn open. You have an opportunity of playing down the pudding, swinging for 5. Or potentially just, you already have islands. You can play down this and then swing for 8 with lead. There's always an opportunity to have a pudding on board, especially in the early to late game, or sorry, early to mid game. And she does do well for you. She forces a KO from your opponent, which is great. So decks like Rob Lucci, this is typically not going to stay on board, which is totally okay. But into any other deck, like Carrot, Pudding, Blue Doflamingo, Boa, this will stick on board until they hard remove it with like a Gravity Blade, for example. But she always gives you that Dawn back, which is great. So your leader ability will become 1, and then it'll become 0 if you have Onigashima Island on top of Pudding. But either way, we're going to dive into a bunch of games today. See you guys in a split second. Let's go. Now, before we get into today's games, I want to talk about some honorable mentions here. Now, there are some cards that you can also use in King that are very, very strong. We're going to go over a couple of them here. We'll just talk about some of the purple ones that I very much enjoy here in this list. Black is necessarily hit or miss. It's basically just removal pieces, in which you're going to be taking either things like your Hathor and there it is, Tempest Kick. Generally about it. Now, the idea between each individual of these cards really work here in King, and we'll talk about Hathor. This might be one of the ones that you're like, why this card, for example. Into matchups like Zoro, this allows you to minus a cost of 3 and then freeze a unit, which is really great when they have Chopper on board and you don't have removal for it right away. You can just freeze the Chopper, therefore they can't attack with the Chopper and get the ability off to get more bodies on board, which is really great. It helps you stall the game out, it helps you get to that late game aspect, and it also gives you that minus 3 cost reduction. The Tempest Kick, we all know what this does, just minuses 3 and allows you to draw a card. That's basically it. If you feel like you need more removal, you have this going for you. If you guys are interested in doing some very, very cheeky shenanigans, you have access to Soap Sheep with Rob Lucci in this deck as well. So you do have ways of removing smaller bodies in the early game, if that's what you're struggling with in some matchups like Kalgero and Zoro. But don't get me wrong, no matter what jank stuff I add into a King list, I typically come up short. When it comes to Zoro matchup, it's very, very hard to consistently remove board and get bodies of your own down to help you get into that late game aspect. But in Kalgero, Soap Sheep, Rob Lucci does work here in King just as well as it does work in a Rob Lucci deck. When it comes to some of these purple cards here, you have access to Sovereignty. This in its right mind is very, very strong, right? But when you're playing up against an aggro deck, for example, they're generally already beating you down. You're a 4-life leader, so like Zoro, again, Kalgaro, this feels bad only if you're behind, which is 9 out of 10 times you're behind when you're playing this. You minus 2 Dawn, and then you remove 2 bodies on board, and in Kalgero, Zoro, they just replace with multiple bodies the following turn. This feels bad into those matchups. But decks like Doflamingo, for example, or Jewelry Bonney, this feels really, really good. Because you got to keep in mind that in decks like Doflamingo, his bodies come on board rested off his leader skill, so you can just attack into the other Jinbei or whatever is on board that he took off his leader ability, and then remove 2 other cards with Sovereignty. This feels good into that matchup. This feels good into Jewelry Bonney, because again, you're going to be dealing with cards like Basil Hawkins, which is a very, very problematic card for a lot of removal decks. Not necessarily King, just due to the fact that this hits that card entirely. You don't have to have cards on board that this card can rest before you can remove it, which is great. The It's to Die For is probably one of the best ramp cards in the game, in my opinion. This allows you to ramp up twice, essentially. And as this game progresses, as we go into OP09, 10, 11, and etc., you guys are going to keep on seeing that power creep. You're going to see a lot more big bodies on board. I think this card will be pretty solid for a lot of purple decks that allow you to ramp consistently, especially in decks like Luffy and all that sort of thing. This is a pretty strong card. Now, Top Knot, this is going to be another honorable mention. I really like this card. I think this card has a good place. It's just, I think it's expensive right now in the current metagame. It's very good into decks like Reiju when you want to get rid of those the 7 cost Ichiji's, which those are very, very, very tough to deal with. As King, you can kill them each and every turn. You really could. You can kill these guys each and every turn. The problem is there's going to keep consistently bringing them back. If you have a way to minus cost reduction with an Ice Age, play this down, it goes to the bottom of the deck. And it's a lot more consistent than you might think. The zero cost event, we don't really need to go over it. We know what it does, hit or miss in your variations of your king builds. Killer, this is a card I played around with for a little while. He's similar to Kamazo, which Kamazo allows you to kill something of 2 costs or less. Killer does the exact same thing, except for he kills something of 3 costs or less. And it only targets rested characters. So whereas this will kill anything on board that's 2 costs or less, this only has access to rested characters, which necessarily isn't a bad thing. It's just, he's a 5 cost unit, and most of the time I pitch him for a 1k counter. I do have some locals games that I'm trying to utilize Killer, and he doesn't come up for when I need him. He generally just a 1k for me, but there are scenarios where you can have him on board and do a thing. But just another honorable mention here. Alright, let's go, boys and girls. See y'all in a split second. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Diving into a couple games today. Come at you guys with King, playing into Perona, in which that's another leader that you're going to see on the channel here very soon. I very much love playing Perona here in this format. I think she's pretty solid. I think a lot of people just sleep on this deck and are typically playing into things like Jewelry Bonney or Doflamingo, and they kind of ignore this leader. I think she's pretty good, especially Wanu package. I wouldn't be playing anything else, but we'll see how it goes. In any case, this shouldn't be too hard of a match, I don't think. We already see Onigashima here in the early game, and we got a Big Mom off of our first search, so we're looking pretty good. Interesting. I'm guessing they didn't want to play down a Ryuma or anything off the Hiyori due to the fact we didn't have a body on board, but playing that into a black deck is kind of spooky. Because if we did have a Kamazo in hand here, we could play down Kamazo -2 Dawn, even though it's not ideal right now, and just pop it. That way we can slow down Perona from drawing a card and getting the body on board. I'll take another Onigashima here. I know that's crazy. We probably should take in the Who's Who, but we get a ramp twice this turn, which is awesome. So that puts us up to 10 Dawn on the following turn. Therefore, we got up to 10 Dawn as fast as Pudding gets up to 10 Dawn. But, you know, this deck's not great at all. Be mindful of that. So they get the Samurai, they draw 2 extra cards. So probably kick the Hiyori with the effects, and then pop the Queen. Okay. Or not. Interesting. I'm guessing misplays were made. But it is what it is. I'm assuming they meant to do the Hiyori into the Ryuma. I don't see why they play Ryuma down like that without drawing a card from the Hiyori ability. So, this is my other gripe when it comes to running the Kings here in a King variation. I feel like sometimes my hand looks like this occasionally. I don't mind the Moms. The Moms can stay in my hand all day. I don't care about that. That's going to get me to the late game every single time. It's more so when I have the 7-drop King and like the 4-drop King in hand. Yes, the 4-drop does have the counter, but there will be times where you don't see Island and I don't have enough Dawn to utilize the combination here, which does suck. So, each their own. I guess we can just play it down or we can trash it here. We'll get rid of a Mom though. We have another Mom, we should be fine. This might give us an opportunity to play down the combination here soon, but we'll see. We get an Island, which is really good. You might not think so, but the Island is at least cycling other cards out of the deck, and we can use it to trash for Linlin. Versus trashing something else in the hand that's pretty solid. 8k, that's fine. We'll get a Who's Who. Should we pop this? Might as well. That'll slow them down from playing Samurai. Because they could potentially play down a Suru there and then just play Samurai over top of them. Ooh, not bad, not bad. Thankfully, we drew into another King. Sarcasm. But let's go ahead and get the Linlin down. Put this under bottom of life. And call it a day. The good thing about doing this here in this matchup is you got to keep in mind they play with Gecko Moria. So being able to get back the Ryumas from the trash is, you know, an ideal target for Moria. And just put them in life and then go for game later. We removed a body, we healed a life, and we got a body on board. So, hopefully they don't have removal for this one. If not, we at least do 2 damage next turn. 5 lead, that's fine. Nice. Okay, so they had removal for this as well. That does suck. That's the 3rd Ryuma, and there's a Sabo. So I can't play Kuzan next turn and pop something here. So I need to see another Linlin or a Kaido here. Jack's not too bad. At least with Jack, he can stick on board and she can't remove him. And we're still at 3 life, so we're kind of healthy. I'm not really worried about that all too much. That's another card where I thought about putting into King. I need to playtest more with it when it comes to Brook. I think Brook would be really, really good here. Just because I can get the minus cost reduction and just trash the card quite easily. He will open up 2 other slots in the deck as well. Because right now, we have 5 slots that are just flexible with the Kings. So I can use 4 of them for Brook or 3 for Brook and then use the rest for something else. He will work. But I'm going to have to play test him for a little while and see how I feel about him. The no card draw off the Momo is wild. 8 lead, sure. Okay, get a 2K. Another Sabo. You're so cool. I mean, there's not really much else I can do about that. And I think this is the main reason why I'm considering Brook. Because when I get into these later stages of games, into matchups like Rob Lucci, and we're both just chaining back Sabos back to back, I want to be able to remove the Sabos and not have to worry about the blocker. Because when I have all the big bodies on board and they have like multiple Sabos, it's very hard to go for games sometimes. There's no way you block this, right? Because then I just run Jack in the Sabo. Just let it happen. Okay, alright. Give me cards out of hand. That was a silly goose behavior. We'll do our own, and therefore we should be safe. We can get rid of some of the Kings in hand here. Yeah, some of the Kings in hand. Goodness, man. Welcome to a dead card sometimes. We'll get rid of the Ice Age. In hindsight, we should have just got rid of the King, but maybe we'll make use out of him. We'll see. And the Ice Age was specifically, I should have saved for Zoro, just in case. That's definitely my bad. This could be a Dofi play as well. Now you swing with Ryuma. I mean, I guess Perona could be running with Hody Jones as well, so I have to be a little bit mindful here. If they go for Sabo, I will guard out. Nice. Okay. There's 7 Don left. So it's potential they have enough for a Hody Jones if they want to play Hody here. I don't have any counter for Jack. But I don't think they'll take the Sabo and run that into Jack. I mean, it's possible, right? Oh, what am I talking about? They don't have enough for Hody Jones. That's crazy. Oh, I mean, never mind. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Okay. Oh, good. That's good. Sure. That's fine. We'll take those trades. There's a Kaido. I'd rather get Kuzan on board. We can just pop this and call it a day. We'll go ahead and kill the Momo here as well. Rebecca, that's pretty solid. We're looking pretty good right now, boys. Pretty good. So now we're ready for Zoro, if she decides to play that on board. We're ready for Dofi. We're not ready for 2 Ice Ages if she has those. Rusting Rebecca. This Because I think we've only seen 2. Yeah, we've only seen 2 Ice Ages. And 1 Suru so far. Sure. Don't know if the 8K was mandatory, but you got it. That's fine. I mean, might as well take Jack, right? We have the Kaido already in hand. We don't need another Kaido. Jack should be able to remove anything on board here. Actually. See, the Kings really make this bricky, man. And I don't know how I feel about it. But in this situation here, we actually have something to throw away. So we can play down the Kaido. We can remove the Borsalino and get Perona the Trasha card here. While killing the Ryuma with our Kuzan. If we need to. We'll trash this. They have to pitch a card. They did have a Zoro. Cool. So let's go. I guess we could do it like this too. Okay, 2K counter. That's nice. Ramp back up. We'll go 6K into the whatchamacallit, the Ryuma. If she guards out, that's fine, because we just kill it with Kuzan. Nice. Normally, I wouldn't be swinging with this, unless I knew or felt like it was safe. And in this situation, I do feel like that. Unless she decides to go just 15 into it, we can just guard out with Sabo here. 6 lead. What if she does have Hody Jones here? Okay. Another Zoro hits the board. I think we have to remove that here. It's 5. Yeah, we can do it. We can play Jack down -2 Dawn with our leader ability and put it on the Zoro and then kill it with Jack. Which should work. 1 blocker up. We have 4K counter, so this should be fine. Jack will draw us another. Nice. Okay. We'll get rid of that. Good game, buddy. Well played. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. We go into one stressful game, into another stressful game. Playing up against Jewelry Bonney this time, which I feel like is at every single event I go to. But unfortunately for Bonney, as King, we typically don't have any problems with this leader. As long as we see removal, right? And that's about it. And we have Oni here as well, so we're cooking already. Let's go 5, clear this out of the way. Drop Oni, ramp up. And it's not often that I miss with Oni as well. I feel like I always have this in my mulligan hand or opening hands. And if not, I get it off of like life or draw into it with a searcher. Baby 5, yep. Well, they're getting all of the cards here. Nice, that's pretty good. So that's a queen. I think it's better to probably kill the baby 5 here, but we'll get rid of this instead. Just so that can't get Basil Hawkins after Basil Hawkins. I could Huzu, which wouldn't hurt me here in this scenario. We can drop the queen, because we already have stage. This is only going to get us a 2K later or a Kaido. I think it's better just to get rid of that, just to pop it. Yes, I get it. We can play down the queen to do a search, and then we're going to drop the king there. But just in case the king will be valuable here in this matchup, which typically it is, because it's a card that she can't rest due to the fact that it has rush when it hits the board, which is great. 5 lead. I kind of don't want to take it, but I don't want to give her a 2K here either. 6 Dawn left to play around with, so this is probably going to be a Cavendish turn. Yep. Okay, I didn't expect that. That's fine. Another queen. That's not what I wanted to see. We need to get rid of Cavendish as soon as possible, so we'll go 5 here for rest leader. Yep. Okay. I'll play this down. We'll minus the Dawn. We'll pop the Cavendish into the life. We'll get rid of the queen here. And we'll pass it up. Have to be leaders. No. Leader skill puts us back at 9 Dawn, right? Just in case, this is fine. Because this can still allow us to play Kaido. Oh, speaking of which, let's go, boys. Alright, so she's at 8. I think getting rid of the Cavendish there was the play. Just because she can play down a kid and then attack with Cavendish, restand 2 Dawn, have a Dawn for leader ability and Dawn for the kid to put something else on board if she wanted to. And that's a lot. That's a lot to deal with. I mean, the Kaido does remove it, but still. Because we play Kaido down, we minus 2 Dawn with leader ability and minus 2 on the kid. Remove that. But now we have another body on board with the Cavendish that I don't want to deal with. So, I'm glad we got rid of it. But this could be multiple blockers or something here. 4 Dawn open. So that's going to be an Urouge. That's going to hit the board here. Yep. We have the Ice Age. How bad do I want to get rid of this card? It really just gives us another big body on board. And that's probably like the best thing about it. She's going to take the hit. Yep. Goodness, man. I can do this ability next turn. So I guess we have to keep the kings. Okay. Minus 2 the draw. Go back up to 9. Now we're up to 10. So we have the option of doing both kings effects next turn. Cavendish. Yeah, this Bonney right here is really high rolling right now, to be fair. Nothing but blockers so far. Which is making this very, very difficult. And these are the matches where I think the Sovereignty comes in handy. But if I'm not running into a Bonney, it just feels like a dead card sometimes. It feels really, really strong when I have Kuzan on board, though. But other than that, let's go 9 here to face. Yep. I assume she takes the hit. Yep. Let's go 5. Gives me whatever she just got. Because I don't think she would go down to 2 here when I have a board state like this. I guess potentially she could have a Doflamingo in hand here. Another Sabo. Cool. Sabo doesn't really help all too much in this matchup. He does get me the card draw. But she doesn't typically run a lot of cards that allows her to pop something. So what could this be? It could be another Linlin. But I don't want to risk it. 2 Sabos in trash, 2 Queens in trash. So we've searched 3 times. Or sorry, we searched 1 time. There's the Dofi. There's our Linlin. Oops. I didn't have to do that. That's my bad. I had Kuzan on board. I guess it's really just, I'm used to it, you know? But we did waste an Ice Age for it, which does suck. Because I could have just played Linlin and tossed the Ice Age. Now I have to get rid of something else here. We'll get rid of the Who's Who. Oh man, that sucks. This is not really a card I wanted to put in life either, because she is just able to get it back later and use it again. But what are you gonna do? And I can't swing with Kuzan here, in fear of her just donning up Rouge and just smacking me for a ridiculous amount. Basil, Cavendish. This is gonna be a long game. A long game. Ooh, Jack could be really good here. Yeah, Jack would be really good here. Let's go 10k. She's gonna have to start guarding here. Yep. Okay, alright. Or not, I guess. Okay, so there is a Rosinante. Are you feeling confident? Oh, she's thinking about it. Oh, wow. Okay. Alright. Let's go 9 again. And then we can go... What, 9? Yeah, we can go 9 again with our king here. Which would be great. Because I can't play down Jack. That's my bad. I should have went 8k instead. I guess we'll have to savage this. or salvage. Get king down with a minus of Dawn. Yeah, we go 9 and activate the search. To Basil Hawkins. This will at least get the Rosinante. Yep. Not bad. Let's search, let's search. Oof. Kaido is probably the better option here. We already have the Jack in hand, so... Sure. This is a scary board, man. This is a real scary board. And so far, it looks like we have this game. But I guess it all depends on how many Doflamingos she can chain back to back. She's not getting a Dofi here this turn. She did get a kid. So we do have to remove that at some point. Another Basil Hawkins. Resends 2 Dawn. Can swing again with Bonney here for 7. Got another Jack off that, which does suck. Yep. I don't know why I said 7. I guess 8's a thing because Uruj resends the Dawn. This might be a good game. Like this turn, it's a possibility. We go 10. Doesn't matter who she rests. Yep. She takes the hit though. Interesting. Does she have the counter for all this? There's no way, right? We should be able to win the game here. Oh, I forgot about him. Never mind. That's my bad. That's my fault. 9k. Let me get a Basil. Don't take the hit. Let me get a Basil. It might be worth it to play down Jack and then pop something. Let's go 9 first. Really? Alright. Now we know she has Dofi and well, we did know she had Cavendish. We know she has Dofi in hand. So I should be able to get through. But we're going to go 5 first. Okay. Fair enough. Let's play it safe. I think we have to do it this way. As much as I wanted to get down the Jack and Kaido here, I think we have to go this route. Because she could potentially just go smacking me with both Basil Hawkins next turn. And Cavendish and Bonney. And maybe she has a Hody Jones in hand, I don't know. So this at least allows me to survive. Although we don't have very much counter in hand besides the 2k, so hopefully we get some 1s or 2s off life here. I think we'll be okay. That might have been a route that I could made that play better, but I think that was probably the best case scenario there. Yep. Restands the 2. Give you the 2k. So she's going to search with Jewelry Bonney. And I don't think she can afford to swing at all with Basil Hawkins here. Because if she swings with 1 Basil Hawkins, we still have 3 attacks, being that my leader and my Sabo. And she can only guard 1 of those hits. Because then we can just down up the Rebecca and go face. So that was good on her part. I kind of want to sustain myself here with the Linlin. But I really don't want to give her back to Doflamingo. But if I do give her back to Doflamingo, at least we know that she's just going to play it down again. And then pass the turn after she attacks me with Cavendish. Right? In Bonney. This also gives me another card to draw off life. Yeah, it's probably the better bet. The only other option here is I just trash something with the Kaido. Let's heal. Because it doesn't really matter if she has Hody Jones, because then she'll just rest both blockers anyway. And then go face with everything. Put this on life. That's fine. I know we're just going to give it back to her. Another Linlin is pretty strong here, actually. We'll pass it up. I couldn't have killed the Basil or the Cavendish there or the Bonney, even though I would have Dawn attached to King and swung. She would have rested one of my blockers there, and I would have got the Jewelry Bonney out of that, and that's it. Another Doflamingo. Goodness, man. Again, I'm feeling like the Kings here in this list just really clump it up. I'm not really a huge fan of it. Sometimes it does work, sometimes it doesn't. Often not. Especially in these elongated games where I'm playing against the matchups like Jewelry Bonney, it really does hurt me quite a bit when I don't have counter or something else in place of the King. Because that could have been a Queen. A Queen could have drawn me more cards here in this situation. We'll get rid of the Rebecca here. Sasaki. I don't think I want to give her another Dofi right now, but we have to go for the removal here on the Cavendish, I think, at the very least. Let's go 9 first. We'll just give her the Dofi here. Yep. Sure. That's right. She'll guard out with Basil here, right? Probably. Yep. Okay. Play this down as well. We'll toss a King. You can have that back. Leader ability. Nice. Okay, so now we're starting getting our counters here. We should be okay. We should be good. Perhaps... No, I think that was right. I think that was right. Because if I don't put the Dofi on life, she swings with Dofi for 10, 11, 12, whatever, on to one of my rested characters. And I guess in this case it would be the Sabo. As much as I don't want to keep putting Dofi back in life, on both occasions where I put it in life, it was just the best choice scenario. Okay. So we do have a lot of options here. We have an option of putting down Kamazo on board. That gives us 6 Dawn left. We can -2 Dawn to pop the Basil Hawkins, but we have to attack first with everything on board before that can be possible. And as soon as we swing, she's going to rest Sabo regardless here. There's just no way around it. This will get rid of the Doflamingo. We can trash the Onigashima here. Pop this. We get rid of a card out of hand. And we just had to be safe enough in order to do something like this. Because on both occasions where we put the Dofi in life, she couldn't afford to attack me with Basil Hawkins, otherwise she loses the game. Another Sabo. We pass it up here. I don't know if she would have had another Dofi. And I didn't want to risk my Sabo getting rested off her leader skill. Because I could have just gone 9k with Linlin. She would have taken the hit for the Doflamingo, resting my Sabo, playing Dofi back down again. We got rid of the kid, which we knew that she drew earlier off the search from the Bonney. Alright, baby 5. So this tells me she does not have another Doflamingo in hand, otherwise that would have just been the play. Rosinante, okay. Freestands everything, yep. 9 Dawn, so potential to still play Zoro here. I might as well just guard with Sabo, right? Just let it go. As much as I just rather take the hit, she's just going to keep resting the Sabo anyway. Ice Age. We'll hold on to that, of course. Okay. Rosinante, yep. 4 more blockers, or 2 more blockers we have to deal with. We go 10 here. So she has 2 more attacks she has to contend with here. So we'll at least get a couple blockers off the board. Okay. I probably should clear the Cavendish, right? Or or try to clear the Cavendish here, because she can just block for him. So it doesn't necessarily matter. Okay. How do I want to do this here? I can't really risk it by being super aggressive here with the Jack, just in case she wants to go lethal next turn. If we go 8 Dawn, or not 8 Dawn, 8k. She has 2k counter in hand. Okay, that sucks. Alright, Jack. Let's not mess this up. Rest this. Not bad. We can get rid of the Ice Age here. We can pop the other Jack. Or, sorry, pop the other Basil Hawkins. We do have a ridiculous amount of counter in hand here for the late game. I don't know why I did that. That's my bad. Yep. I don't have to do stage. That's my fault. Okay. So 1 out of 3 of those cards are Doflamingo. And that's about it. I think no matter what she does here, we're safe. Like math, right? I think we're chilling. 8 left. Nice. You thought. See, Jack was super risky, man. I should have probably just played Sabo down. We definitely got that off the 2k counter there. But, hey, high roll me. Crazy. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I would probably swap decks over to my main King variation after this one and see what we can do. Oh my god. As Sim would have it, they decided to give me 3 Linlins on my first search. Sim in a nutshell, I swear. But we're playing up against another King here, in which I shouldn't be necessarily worried about. I feel like most King players either don't know what they're doing, or they kind of just put all their eggs in one basket and start doing their leader ability for free. So, we'll see. Now we are on the same Dawn curve as this King, which is great. But instead, we're going to get ahead of him by going to 10 Dawn first. Sure. For Oni again. So now we're at 8. He just hits 8. Going into our next turn, again, the same turn as Pudding, will be 10 Dawn. Which is crazy. Sure. That is fine with me. Yep. That's okay. Nah. There's no point in doing this. We'll just attack into it with leader. So we get a Sabo here. Go 5 into Queen. We'll play down Big Mom here and heal myself. The only other option is slapping down Jack, which probably is a good idea too, but we can get rid of the Sabo and get it back with Rebecca later if need be. Okay. I'd imagine Linlin doesn't survive this turn, but if she does, we're looking good. 7 down left to play with. How would you remove this right now? Ice Age. King. Okay. Did not expect that. That's fine. Interesting. Now we'll toss the Onigashima. We'll pop this. Discard a card. And this is something that really hurts this deck as well. Playing up against another Kaido just is not great. Because you already don't have a lot of counter in the deck if you're not running 14 2Ks, or, you know what I mean? And most of us don't. So being able to toss anything out of hand that has counter just really, really hurts you. And we got 3k out of that, by the way. 1 Husu, 1 Queen. Another Ice Age. Sure. Thank you for healing me, I'll take it. So he minuses 2 down for leader ability to draw an extra card, yep. 5 lead. I mean, we actually don't have to Ice Age here, do we? We just have to play the Kaido down. -2 with leader ability, which is the better option. It might have been more consistent for us to Ice Age, though, because that way when we minus the Dawn, we can draw an extra card instead. You know what I mean? That might have been better that way. Yeah, probably. But it's okay. Let's go 5. We'll search. Another Linlin. We'll take it. And that's it. Sure. What do you trash here? You trash the search. Interesting. That is crazy. 10k. Okay. We can get down the king and queen combo. Or not king and queen, but sorry, king and Sabo combo here. Yeah, this will work out. We go 6 lead. I don't have to worry about anything off trigger here. Usually we don't have anything that pops something at 4 costs, so I'm not really worried about it. Let's go 9 lead. Okay, sure. Give me the queen. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, you brought this on yourself. Remember that. Kamizo, ramp up, play Sabo down. Nice. Oof. I don't really need the jack here. And, good game. Well played. It's pretty solid. Pretty solid. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we'll probably play one more game after this one, and then we'll dive back into the deck list for the day. I do hope you guys enjoyed this one. This leader is definitely one of my favorite in the game right now to play. It's not necessarily because I actually like King as a character, like the color combination, the effects, it's very, very fun. Unfortunately, we are playing into Calgaro, or Kargara, in which is a very, very hard matchup for you. Now, if I was playing with Sovereignty, it'd be a little bit easier, but regardless, he's able to just flood the board with a lot of bodies, and to be able to sustain yourself into the late game, you have to see your Linlins here, and have either a Jack or Kuzan on board to start popping things. He's very tough to deal with. So I don't expect anything here. I expect to get run over, but I'm going to try my best. Now, I'd much rather play against this than play against Zoro, because I don't have an answer for that deck just yet. And I don't think there is one, outside of like slapping in Soap Sheeps with Rob Lucci. And that's still inconsistent, because we can't draw into the Rob Luccis. You know what I mean? We don't have Spandom here, so it's a little bit harder to deal with that. So if you find an answer to Zoro consistently, let me know. It's just not going to happen right now, unfortunately. Anyway, outside of Kargaro, your other really, really bad matchup can be Pudding. Pudding ramps up very, very quickly, but with the Linlins, you have to be able to draw into the Linlins to survive that matchup. And then you have Doflamingo. Everything else, I think you can have a really, really good time into, as long as you're able to draw into the 9-cost Linlin to sustain yourself into the late games. Typically. Just those 3 matches are definitely going to be your hardest ones in the format with this deck so far that I've come across. Calgaro, Doflamingo, Zoro is just not gonna, you're not gonna win it. There's nothing else you can really do about it. And of course, the one and the only, Rob Lucci. It comes down to the Black Mirror, who sees the most Sabos in the matchup. That's typically how it goes. You can remove the Gecko Warriors with the Linlin, but whoever sees the most Sabos really just wins that game most of the time. Either way, we're going to dive back into this one, see what we can do here. I'm going to try my best. This is going to be, like I said, a tough game. He's able to flood the bodies or flood the board very, very quickly before I'm able to get a footing here. Typically. We do have the Jack with the Ice Age. We have numerous ways of popping things on board here. Unfortunately, we go up to 8 Dawn next turn, so we have to have Jack on board. Another Ice Age here. I think it's probably better for us to go 5. But what are you going to do? We can go 6 here, play Jack, pop Pop Jack's ability to kill the Holy. Nice. Get a card out of hands. We can toss an Ice Age. Pop this. I don't want a leader ability here. If I do, it'll put us up to 9 next turn anyway. That we can still play Linlin off of. So maybe it's not so bad. It only becomes bad if we draw Kuzan. Okay, cool. That's fine. Because not being able to play Kuzan down on curve against this matchup is feels really, really bad. And that might just be your general saving grace into the Kagura. Because they can't remove the Kuzan. Unless they're running Kingdom Come, right? 6 lead. Kagura hits the board. Goes to 2 life. So Ohms are now live. They can be... I guess he can swing with 7k, 7k with those. Now we have to prepare ourselves. So they need to die as soon as possible next turn. Which we do have a way of doing it. No, you can't have this. The downside to it is... Suru can play off the Linlin, right? Suru can also play off the Kamizo here. I hate throwing away Rebecca in this situation, but it might have just been the best way to do this. I don't want to get rid of my Kamizo here either. So you got to have the Suru. I needed Jack to stay on board. This might be our only out. He also absorbed 2 hits from me too, which is really good. So perhaps he's going to start healing next turn. There's a Rebecca. That's good. But that's our only Rebecca we're going to see the rest of this game. How do we do this? We can play down Linlin to heal up, right? We can put a Kagura back in life. Jack can run into a, what's his face? A Ohm. And then we have 5 Dawn left to play with here, with Ice Age and Kamizo to pop a different character on board. This might work out. Okay. This will put Ohm to 9. Can we have a 2k? Nope. Alright. Ice Age this. We'll Kamizo down. We'll minus 2 Dawn here. We have to give the Ohm a minus 2 here as well. We'll pop that. We'll Jack. Oof. Pop this. Ramp up. Pass turn. We were able to control the board a little bit there. Just not in the way I wanted. I was hoping to get rid of at least 1 Ohm. And if that was the case, he'd have nothing but Shura left on board. And then we were chilling. But with a hand like that, there was no way he probably didn't have the counter in hand. Tough game, man. Tough game. I mean, what do you want me to do here? Okay. Goes down to 1. He's definitely going to heal. Right? 9 Dawn left. I'd imagine Ohm will still swing for 7 here. 9 into Jack. I did not expect a Nell, actually. That is not something I typically see in Kagura decks. I see aces. I don't normally see the Nels. So that's really going to hurt now. I mean, might lose, to be fair. That really caught me off guard. That sucks. Because now he'll swing for 7, and he has 2 Dawn left to play around with, which is probably going to be the events. Or he can go 5 with Shura. Oof, man. That's rough. I know it's a good option. I'm not gonna lie. It's searchable. It's really good. Why I don't see it as much, I don't know. It's gonna be a really difficult card to remove here, too, in this match. Okay. Rest this. He's probably gonna try to clear that. 6 into 5. Yep. I mean, Man, he's going for it. Crazy. Hey! Nothing that's going to be viable here. As much as I want the Kaido, we probably need the 2k counter. Truthfully. We can kill the Shura with leader. Sorry, Kaido. Yeah, we could have gotten in Kaido and then probably trashed the Enel, because I don't think he'd go to 0, but he might go to 0 and just win next turn. That's going to be real risky if we go leader here. Let's go 6 into Ohm again. Does he have it? Yep. Okay, that's fine. Mom will heal us. This might have been real risky. Put this in bottom of life. Leader ability. Nice. Another search. We have 4k counter here. You got it. Okay, a pudding. Which unfortunately we didn't see her at all this game. So she would have been quite useful earlier. Ooh, he's going for game, guys. He is going for game. 5 down left. I probably should have guarded this. Yeah, I should have guarded that. I mean, we have enough counter for it. Even if you wanted to go 10k, we still had enough counter for it. Interesting. 1 open leads me to believe he has the event. And he knows he can't be killed here. We clear this out of the way. Unless he's going to event this, which would suck, but we should be able to clear this out of the way. Let it happen. I'm starting to think Ohm is his favorite character. And no matter what, he just, no, protect it every time. That's fine. It's okay. It's all good. Wow. I'm a little salty, not gonna lie. I'll take the Sabo. We'll do the Sabo things. Ooh, that's nice. Then I'll draw one with leader ability. Yes, sir! And no matter what he does here, he cannot win the game this turn. Because he wants to save 6 Dawn aside for both Shura attacks for 5Ks, he can do that. Which will leave him 4 Dawn open. So 6 on Kagura, 6 on Ohm. And then he has to go huge into Enel as well. 7, interesting. We'll block out with Rebecca here. Yeah, so nothing that he can do potentially would win him the game this turn. And I think that's including if he had another Ace or another Enel. It wouldn't matter. Because he has 6 with the Ohm, right? We have the 2k. So if he wants to go 7, that's something that he can do. Sure. What was the point of that? Was he looking for another Enel? I get the first one. The first one gave him an opportunity of finding another Enel, but the second one doesn't really help you out in this scenario at all. You have 6 Dawn left to play with, so that is 5 attack, 5k each on Shura here, and 6 on Ohm. Even without playing both upper yards, he did not have enough to go through my counter and my both blockers on hand. Because he could Dawn up the Ohm here and go 12k, and we still have enough out of that. So we'll block this one. And then we'll let Sabo go. Go on. Sure. Because he could have saved both of those 2 upper yards, right? Swung 8 with Ohm. We counter out. He had 6 Dawn left to play with regardless. To play down on the Shura. Going 5-5. We still have 2k, 4k counter left. So we were chilling regardless of how he decided to make this turn. And I definitely think it was because the Sabo and Rebecca won this matchup here at the very end. Sorry, buddy. We'll go face though. We won't go for. We'll go face though. I'm not gonna go for the ohm. You know. A good game well played. Close, very close. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. We're gonna probably play one more game after this one. If you guys don't mind, I apologize. Then we'll dive back into the deck list here. I do hope you guys enjoy this one. Of course, this is always a lot of fun for me, especially when I'm playing with a deck in which I thoroughly enjoy. We might be diving into, I guess what we call Yerple Crocodile next, maybe. Or I might play some Rebecca. I'm not entirely sure yet, but it'll be something fun. I do have a lot of other decks I do want to get into here with OP08 from Bonney, of course, Boa. Unfortunately, Bonney kind of is, you know, once you've seen a build, you've seen all the builds, but still people really very much enjoy that leader. So I might dive into her at some point in the future. She won't be coming up next, but, you know, it might be Boa, Yerple Crocodile, Rebecca. I haven't decided yet. In any case, we're diving into this matchup with King, playing into Boa Hancock, which is another blue deck similar to Doflamingo, which you don't see all too often at locals, on Sim, in general. She has her issues as well. She's not as strong, I would say, as Doflamingo, but the structure decks that are coming out this month will also change her too. But we'll see what we can do here. We do have Onigashima, we've got Pudding. This is like my ideal setup in pretty much all matches if I can draw these two in the early game. Pudding puts in a lot of work, especially if she goes unchecked. Which we might just be unchecked. We can get down Mom here early. Minus the Don, heal a life. We'll trash the Sabo. We can get Sabo back later. Put Gecko Mori in the bottom. Get our Don back with Pudding. And then we can still use leader ability. Ramp back up, go back to 8, go to 9. Or sorry, go to 10 next turn. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. We've already got a big body on board that she has to deal with a Red Rock or swing over it. She can't hit me with a Gravity Blade, which is nice. Okay, she takes the hit. Cool with that. What does she get earlier from the Moria? I don't remember. Where are we? Okay, she got Law, 2k counter from Trash. Alright. Sure, freezes my Linlin. You give me a free card? Well, thank you. Another Linlin. Love to see it. And Queen. Okay. Let's get Kamazo down. This will be really, really good here. We'll Ice Age this. Play down the Queen. Minus the Dawn. Kamazo can trigger. I'll trash this. Pop that. Get the Dawn back. We have enough to do leader ability here as well. Beautiful. So, now she needs to see Gravity Blade. And if she does not see Gravity Blade, she will lose this game entirely. Just because the tempo swing on my side of the board is huge. We have enough removal inside the Kamazo here to just chill. Because everything she plays on board, if this is a Warlord package, as usual, all I have to do is -2 Dawn, use my leader ability, -2, pop it with Kamazo, each and every turn. And going into OP09, you're going to start running into Doflamingos that don't run Gravity Blade. They don't run Red Rock. Therefore, they don't have the hard removal for a lot of cards, especially when it comes to removal decks. So, being able to slap down a Kamazo here with King just literally gives you free removal into those matchups. In the late game, that of course. So now we have the Kuzan here, which is going to demand a Red Rock. I can't do leader ability because we don't have 5 cards in hand. Does she have the rock? She does, okay. She probably saved it, of course. Or maybe she had it in the opening hand. 6 lead, I'll give you a Husu. Another Doflamingo. Which we have the removal for that as well, between the Husu and the Linlin in hand. I don't necessarily know if I want to give her another life, but we'll see what we get here. Hey, Jack works. Thanks, Jack. Appreciate it. I actually ended my turn. That's my bad. Oh, man. I don't necessarily like people do this. They just pass the turn back over to you. It's very, very thoughtful. I really appreciate it. Even though I just butchered that. But you didn't have to. It would have only changed the game if I had drawn Jack, you know, right then and there. That would have felt really, really bad. But I appreciate that. I think sometimes I just hit the button like too quickly, and I often do this quite a bit, actually. Let's go 9 lead. Cool. We'll pass it up. They had the red rock for that as well. I imagine they run 9k into Linlin here or get down another blocker. We have yet to see a Jinbei combo, which is really, really nice. Give you the pudding. Sengoku. Gets a boa. Okay. Not bad, not bad. We get a Kaido here, which is really nice. We can remove the blocker. Get her to trash a card in hand. So we can get rid of a Queen or a Linlin here. Trash a 2k, I'd imagine. No, Mihawk. Alright. 6 lead. I feel like Mihawk is a little bit lackluster in the current meta. I think he's been power crept quite a bit. He's not really hitting a lot of big body units that are a problem right now. Everything else is a little bit too big for him to, you know, remove. But what do I know? 1 life left here. We're doing pretty good right now in this matchup. This is typically how your matchups will go with Doflamingo as well, if you guys see the right cards. Of course, if you don't see the right cards, which can happen, and it does happen, you get run over. But as long as you guys have the removal, you're pretty much chilling. And I think Kamizo is going to be one of the bigger cards in that matchup for you. Locks down Kaido here. Gets Mihawk back from the trash. Interesting. And GG. Well played. Well, alright, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the end of the video, in which today we played around a bunch of games today with King and OP08. I did very much enjoy it. This is one of my favorite leaders to pick up and play right now in today's format. I know we have a lot of stuff coming up here when it comes to OP09. We're going to be seeing some Blackbeard. We're going to be seeing some Shanks and all that good stuff. Some Buggy. There's going to be a lot of decks that are going to get a little bit more powerful here in the format. And some older decks coming up here as well. But we have some structured decks that are getting some bumps. Be it Smoker, for instance. That's coming up in October this month. Towards the end of it. But I will be showcasing a build with Smoker here on the channel relatively soon. I want to dive into some Rebecca and or Yerpal Crocodile and Smoker. I haven't decided which one I want to do next. I'll probably put up a poll for those three, and we'll go from there. But either way, King, definitely going to be one of my favorite decks to play right now in the current format. It kind of ties for me with King, Yamato, and Pudding. But either way, I do hope you guys enjoyed this one. Give him a shot. He is going to take a little bit of a learning curve to get this man down. He's not going to be a pick up and play leader. I do think there's going to be a skill issue with King, and probably the reason why he's not seen as much. People don't want to experiment with quote-unquote off-meta decks, and they want to play something that's winning, i.e. Rob Lucci, and that's it. But overall, I do hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Remember to smash that like button. Make sure you follow the channel for more One Piece content. And again, hit that like button. Get these videos floating around. I will catch you guys in the very next one. Stay safe out there. I'll see y'all at Locals.